Good morning. Welcome in. Let me fire this off really quick. So ideally, we can watch the end. I don't think I'm going to be quick enough. We can watch the end of the Gunnar Henderson sale. There it is. 1366. Boom. Ooh. 1366 for Gunnar on his super rare. I was in the fight, but I was out about $100 ago, $150 ago. So he goes just shy of what we saw Bobby Witt. That is the second highest middle infielder price so far. So bear with me a little bit. I need to send out a tweet, check the post it in Discord, all those fun things as we approach the next auction, which is going to be Brandon Nemo. So we've got a unique. It's jumped up about $200 already. Nothing interesting before that. So we can jump in here for a few minutes and we'll go from there. We'll make this easy. So if you're coming in right now because you got an email notification or whatnot, then feel free to say good morning. I'm going to go ahead and do my thing. Sorare Auction Watch Party. Join me now. Boom. Think we're good. We'll see how it goes. My plan originally was to get up a little earlier and watch these. So there we go. We got some movement here. So Fenomeno got a little aggressive, was up there at 573. So Rare News jumped in. He's been active lately. He's been really throwing some nice coin around. I don't know if he's been able to win anything large yet, but he's been big game hunting. But Fenomeno looks like he's going to get into it. So I really felt like Nemo is probably going to end somewhere between like 1,500 and 2,000. I was speaking to a whale yesterday. He said he thinks it's going to get over $2,000. So we'll just kind of have to see. Ba, ba, ba. Ba, 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 ba. All right. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. I know it's kind of a lazy Friday. Nothing wrong with that. March Madness. My pool was perfect until somehow I picked McNeese over Gonzaga. I can't say why, but I can't say why because I just don't know. Not that I'm withholding information. I just don't know. So, and I lost Kentucky. I think most people lost Kentucky. And then I lost the New Mexico game. So not bad. Not bad for a first day, 13-3. I'm expecting to go 2-14 today. And but once that Gonzaga lost, I was like, this is dead to me now. I'm done. What do we have here? I got 7 minutes of filler. 7 minutes of filler while we wait for Nemo. You know what? I have not had an opportunity yet to take a look and do some tracking here. I know Grayson went this morning, Grayson Rodriguez. We have a lot of quality playable super rares today. Feels like the first time all season that we've had. Okay, this is not good. Sorry, bear with me here. For some reason, Excel like cleared all my files. So I had to dig a little bit to find my updated here. All right, we've still got 6 minutes. Fenomeno is in the lead. I do want to check Grayson. So let's take a quick look on Grayson. Now, one thing I'll do that you'll notice, because obviously you can see, actually, you know what? You don't need to see this. I can do this in a different window. One thing that I like to do is I like to go through and tag players. So I know there's a few managers who do that. And the point is that way it's easy for me to be able to just look up prices on how much items sold for. So normally when super rares are dropped, I'll go through and I'll just bid on everything that I feel is of interest. If I'm interested in it, then I'll normally bid higher. If I'm not interested and I just want to tag it, I'll just bid the minimum. But that's how I tag it. So for me, it just makes it a little bit easier when I'm looking stuff up. That's what I'm doing right now. Hey, good morning, Bob. Good morning. What do you think of that gunner price? Just about right? Too high, too low? Went for 1366. Oh, I should probably. Thanks for the heads up. Bob's in a meeting. Gonna sold for 1366. All right, so Fenomeno still hanging tough. I think I was hanging tough. I actually woke up about 7 a.m. So to give you some perspective, it's 8:55 here in Scottsdale. I woke up at 7 a.m., rolled over, grabbed my phone, checked the price on Gunner. I was still leading. Put my phone back down, went back to sleep. Woke up about 8, picked my phone up, was not leading. And at that point, was ready to go back to bed. But I was awake, so what are you going to do? I was really hoping to catch some sleep this morning, but I guess that's going to have to wait till tomorrow. We'll see. That is clearly a me problem. Bum, bum, bum. So when you jump in, I know some of you guys are probably going to watch this on delay as well. So unfortunately, it doesn't really help. But if you're jumping in right now, feel free to say hello, say good morning, be courteous. I feel like that's common courtesy, right? You jump in the room, say hi, give a wave. Should be standard practice. Bum, 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 bum. Okay, so so it's showing that Gunner sold for 1415. Really thought it was 1466. Not that I was going to bid, but let's update the form. Bobby Witt sold at 1382, so I was incorrect. Gunner is the most expensive middle infielder at this stage. Is the price right? I think we can debate that. You just kind of have to go with what the market is going to bear. So Grayson goes for 401. Well, 402 technically. Joe Adell sold for 76. James Outman sold for 305. I thought that was a little high, but Dodgers are obviously going to fetch a premium as people try to stack Dodgers. Jeff Hoffman at 113 for a setup man. Interesting. Jake Berger at 305. Seems like a decent price for a corner infielder. Gleyber Torres, 392 on a middle infielder. That's about right. I think most of us are expecting, this is so strange. I have him down at 387, which is what it sold at yesterday. So I don't know if the prices kind of move as ETH moves. Paredes went at 349. That's interesting. I think Paredes, being his age, is a better play than Bugger. Ian Happ went for 300, and that is completely my fault because I got distracted. It should have gone for at least 400. Anyway, now we're all caught up. So yeah, 1415 on Gunner. 1415. Congratulations to all I see when I don't know who that is. I've never spoken with that person. It's like unemployo, but all I see is unemployed when I look at it. Sorry guys, I got to keep an eye. My dog, I don't want to call him elderly. He's 11. Hey, what's up? What's up, Flores? Good morning. He sometimes doesn't want to get up in the morning. So I'll get my day going. I'm rolling here, clicking on things, typing on things, talking on things, and he'll just sleep. And then all of a sudden he gets up and like he wants to get up. He's ready to go outside. So I just kind of keep an eye. Obviously he's older, so I just kind of let him do his thing. So at some point, if we're still on the stream and he gets up, then you guys are basically going to have a nice view of my chair for a little bit. Either way, let's we're down less than a minute. Look at this. We've got some action here. I'm talking too much. Talk less, pay more attention. Here we go. 1700. What happened? Oh, I need more. We'll still need more. Look at SL9. Just chipping away. How annoying. Dude, just throw a number down. That's like the guy who's like, what's the least amount you're going to take on this? Don't do that. Just put your best offer forward. All right, SL9, 924. We're just going to crawl, still crawling. Dude, just make a big offer and get it over with. All right, we're at 1729, 10 seconds to go. I expected it to go around 15 to 18. And there it goes, 1729. I didn't think it'd break $2,000. I actually had a conversation last night with Zuby, talking about Nimmo and Quan as he's trying to strategize. He bought Yu Darvish for under $1,000. So, good morning, William. So we've got Nemo at 1762. It showed higher, but it ended. You know what? And that's the same thing that happened to Gunner. Like it showed higher. It showed 1465, and I guess it ended at 1415. So I don't know what the deal is. It seems like the auction site's been a little buggy lately. I mean, I know we always want perfection, and that's fine. But Zuby and I were having a conversation about this, and I said, look, I think that Nemo and Quan are going to go under $2,000, and they're really playable uniques because they're high floor guys, and those tend to play well. When you're playing guys like Nemo and Quan at limited or rare, it's not great. If you're playing them on super rare, they kind of just have to have their weeks, but you need a bunch of great players around them. On the unique level, the variance is so much larger that having a guy who's going to score at least like 40 points really can have an impact on your lineup. So we were talking about that last night, and he said, no, I think these are going to go way over $2,000. And I said, I don't think so. I said, are you a buyer at 1,500? And he goes, well, no, probably not. I'm going to be busy, so I'm not going to worry about it. And I was like, do you want me to ping you if they go? And he goes, no, I'm good. But yeah, we'll just kind of have to, we'll see where Quan goes. I mean, Quan's going to go on Sunday morning. So you typically expect that the Sunday morning one, you expect that it's going to have less eyeballs, but we'll see. We'll see how that goes. It's going to be interesting next weekend. Obviously, baseball's back starting on Thursday, but on Sundays, it's Easter Sunday. So I realized that the majority of the Sorare team, this will be interesting. We'll just kind of have to see how this plays out. I mean, I assume everyone everyone around the world has Easter, just like everyone around the world has Christmas. Whether they celebrate it or not is up to them, of course. But um, I don't know if that's going to impact anything in terms of listings, auctions. I'm not necessarily planning on bidding on anything, but we'll kind of have to see. By then, we should be on letter R for super rares, so that'll be cool, right? Yeah, we'll just kind of have to see how that plays out. What are you guys talking about? Good morning, Eagle. Good morning, by the way. I should probably have a basketball game on, but I don't. I think the Aztecs play at 10, so I'm fired up for that. Refresh the page. Maybe I don't want to refresh. William yelling orders at me. Is he even good? A good so rare card. Yeah, Bob. I mean, you know that the variance on the unique level is just different. He's not somebody that he's what is he? So he's probably like a tier. If you're looking at fantasy drafts and you're putting guys in different buckets, he's probably in that tier that's like, that Springer, Suzuki kind of tier, Castellanos. Like he's in there. He's not going to give you as much upside as Castellanos, but he's also going to provide you a lot more stability. So you kind of have to pick your poison there. I think your point is, which is valid, is when you play Unique Pro, you have to win. That's it. It doesn't matter if you don't win. If you're not first, you're last is the scenario. And is Nemo even worth buying if he's not going to be in a lineup that wins? And I think that's a fair point. Obviously, as you know, and you've won plenty of unique competitions, any given week, and it really depends on who else is around him. Are the Mets on the road? Do they have 4 games? Is it a good weekend matchup? There's a lot of good pitching in the East too, so I think that really has an impact. What are my notifications? Oh, they're all Gunner. I feel like Sorare is trolling me right now. Let's see. It's not buggy. Is it not buggy? It shows me one price and then it has a different price. Wouldn't that be buggy? Am I not using the verbiage properly? All right, what do we got today? We have a pretty exciting day for super rares. As I said to kick things off. Hey, by the way, if you're kind of sitting here watching, hit the thumbs up. Appreciate it. I don't know what that does, but it makes me feel better internally. So, and I'd like to have a good day, so it doesn't require a lot of effort to be nice. So hit the thumbs up. I'd appreciate it. And I also think it looks better if it shows that I had X amount of viewers and there's a percentage of them that hit thumbs up. Okay, so what do we have? Kelnick is, gosh, these super rare auctions are so far apart. So Kelnick is in an hour and a half. He's at 214. Definitely expect Kelnick to go over 300. Let me look at my handy chart here. I don't know how well I'll be able to see this, but to kind of get an idea, I think most of these guys are better than Kelnick. Springer 300, Ian Happ 300. I'd say Kelnick's probably in the range of like Giancarlo Stanton and Eloy Jimenez, and they both went between at 236 and 264 respectively. So with that being said, I do feel like there's a little Braves bonus. He should sit around 250. A little Braves bonus might get him up to 300. Ha-Seong Kim is a really interesting piece. He's one of the guys we talked about, like Nemo. He's a high floor kind of guy. Obviously, I watch a lot of Ha-Seong Kim, being a Padre fan. Really fun player to watch. I think he's a much better baseball player than he is a so rare player. It shows that he averaged 8 points a game, I guess, in his last. Is that supposed to be last 10 or last 15? I don't know how they're basing that number off of. I can tell you right now that Ha-Seong Kim averaged 7 points Is that right? No, 7.4 points per game last year. So, and if you really want to know what I look at, I'm not going to like show it to you, but he had 7 points. He had 7 games where he scored between 20 and 25, 5 games where he scored between 25 and 30, which is decent. It's respectable. Is it $350 respectable? Well, we'll see. I mean, he's fallen right in that range, right? That we talked about Gleyber Torres. Gleyber Torres went for 387 yesterday. Julian went for 340. Dansby went for 438. So it looks like he's probably a couple bids away from that range. But Williams bouncing me for NCAA action. I don't blame you. Deegan's going to Deegan. The Bryce Harper is obviously the big one for today. So don't get me wrong. No disrespect to Gunner, but Bryce Harper is the big one. They finally released Bryce Harper and Luis Castillo. And if you didn't notice, Yamamoto was also released. Only his limited, but Yamamoto was released. Mr. 45 ERA is now available for your bid. Bryce Harper is the big dog though. So challenge with Bryce Harper. Let's click and see this brand new feature as powered by RotoWire. So we've got notes here. If you're willing to scroll all the way down, Harper's got a back issue, hoping to play Friday, returns to game action, blah, 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 blah. I mean, that's kind of the story of Harper's career. I mean, the guy plays real hard. He gets banged up sometimes. That's what happens. Oh, wow. Flores, thanks for the heads up. That is a nugget right there. So I have not looked at that. Let's take a look real quick. So for those of you who play the common game, Flores is telling me that Yamamoto is now available and he is a 5-star. Okay, let's do this the quick way. Boom, there he is. So I guess if you watch the common draft stream, then this team that I have should not be a surprise to you. But yeah, now I'm gonna have to add to it, right? So I'll make a tweak here, but we see Yamamoto. That's great. I think the big thing a lot of us are wondering is Betts is back. All right, so Betts is back. Guess who's back? So that's great if you're looking to. They didn't change his position; it still says second base. So I don't know why they took it down. But Betts is back. Yamamoto's in for 5. I don't think there were any major names that were missing previously. So, as I said, I'll take a look at this later. I'll probably just swap Yamamoto for. There's nothing else I really want to upgrade. So if I get an extra point, like if I swap him out for Tristan, it's not really going to have a huge impact. I'll probably do that. Let me just do it right now. I'm going to take out Vlad. I'll add Devers. The whole point of having Vlad in there was so I had a T1 that I could swap out. That was the whole point. So then I'm going to go here. Yamamoto. It says Yoshi. Okay. And now I'm maxed out again. So there we go. There's the new team. All right, cool. So back to what we were talking about. As Michael Bolton says, back to the good part. Big Lonely Island fan. Okay. Yeah, Bob, we'll see. I can't remember if it was on the best ball stream we were talking about Yamamoto. I want to say it was yesterday. The challenge that we typically see with a lot of guys who come over from Japan is that they have trouble with the ball, whether it's a spin issue, whether it's a blister issue. or they have trouble with the workload. So he is really young. He's got to get used to both. The conditioning issue. I mean, normally when Japanese guys comes over, like I'm sure you remember when Dice K came over, and that was so hyped, and it did not go well. We've had, I mean, it's not like we haven't had a Deonomo over here, and he was amazing. So, granted, advanced stats is completely different now than back then, but we'll have to see. Obviously, I wasn't really impressed. I posted something in the Discord. If for those of you who are in the Discord, he's supposed to be a guy who throws the ball with precision, and he definitely was not that against the Padres. I don't know how much of that's jitters, how much of that is he's having a little trouble with the ball. I don't know how big his hands are. They didn't talk about it during spring training, so I assume it's not an issue. He just needs to be able to settle in. So I think Senga started off the year a little rough last year and settled in and was fantastic. So I don't want to necessarily just write him off because there's a transition period for a lot of Japanese pitchers, but I do think there is that transition period, and Yamamoto is going to have some growing pains. Luckily, he's on the Dodgers. They tend to use advanced stats extremely well, and I'm sure that they will maximize his potential. I see your point about him not being better than the third starter this year. I feel like on the Dodgers, that's probably true. There's probably a lot of teams he's the best pitcher. It's relative. On the Padres, he's probably the fourth best pitcher. On the Rockies, he's definitely the best pitcher. So, it just kind of depends. Arguably the third best pitcher or second best pitcher on the Diamondbacks. So, but I see your point. With all things being equal, he's starting to look like a mid-rotation guy, but it's been one inning. So I don't think we should jump too much on it. So let's look at Bryce Harper. We just saw Gunnar go at 1,400. Judge went at 1,900. I believe Ohtani went at 2,400. So the big question is Bryce Harper going to sell for as much as Aaron Judge? I'm going to say that's a no. You guys can feel free. Hey, Taylor. Good morning, Taylor. Give Kyle Freeland some respect. No. Bryce Harper. I'm going to say Bryce Harper's probably going to go between 15 and 1,700. Just checking on my pup. 15 to 1,700 for Bryce Harper. If I put the over-under at 1,600, and if you guys want to chime in here, over-under is at 1,600 for Bryce Harper. You think over, you think under? Like I said, I think Ha-Seong Kim is about where he should be. He might kind of touch 400. Kelnick is up already, so he's at 230. I think we assumed he'd get around 250. And if there's some Braves hype, then he'll get a little higher. Most of these guys are just nothing burgers, though. This is why the hour-and-a-half auctions are just terrible. Because you have a bunch of – we basically have, what is that, 4.5 hours of nothing burgers in the middle of the day. Nice, Taylor. Kim was your first ever super rare, and he had a fantastic year. We've got Jarren Duran. I know that at least one person is very interested in Jarren Duran. We'll see. He should go somewhere in that 300 to 400 range. Jeremy Pena is kind of just riding reputation right now. Obviously, you guys can see that I'm winning. I am interested in Jeremy Pena to a certain point. That point will not likely be enough. So I'm not expecting to win Jeremy Pena. Like I said, I think he's just kind of floating on reputation. Like there's no way Giancarlo Stanton should be selling for $260 based on what he did last year. But people bet on hope. And I think Jeremy Pena is going to I see Jeremy Pena as like a $200 to $225 player right now, max, based on what he did last year. But he might sell for more just based on reputation. Ketel Marte was one of the best middle infielders in Sorare last year. Still a little bit under the radar, but as long as he stays healthy, he's an absolute beast. So he realistically should go in the $600 range, but we'll have to see how that plays out. Time is going to come into play. He's going to end around midnight East Coast time on a Friday night. So most of you are probably either in bed or you're out drinking and enjoying yourself. 9 o'clock Friday. I will tell you, if I was not in a relationship, I would definitely not be home on Friday night at 9 o'clock in Scottsdale. So I would not be in play. However, I do have a girlfriend, which means I am in play. I will be here. And if the price is right, I'll consider it. I'm not a huge Marte fan. That's just a personal preference. From a number standpoint, though, he really does produce. So I do expect if that was in the middle of the day, definitely 600. I'm a buyer at $400 for Marte. I don't expect that to happen. And then it gets real interesting, right? I might have to wake up in the middle of the night. Juan Soto is already at $1,200. Definitely expecting Juan Soto to clear $2,000. The problem is he's going to end at 4 a.m. Saturday morning, which is clearly not ideal. Man, these guys could really use a business ops person at a minimum, just to increase efficiency. Why on earth would you have Juan Soto, who I'm going to assume is going to be the poster child, especially since he's in New York now. But I assume he's going to be the poster child for Sorare again. Why would you not put him in a prime spot? I'm a buyer for him up to 1,800. Zuby is all in on picking up this Soto, though. So 1,800 is not going to do it. I do think it's going to go in between $2,000 and 2,500. We'll probably end up seeing a bunch of the guys from Europe bidding. So I'd expect YNWA to be in on this. Zuby said he's going to be up. He's going to, I think his words were, "I'll be up anyway." As I try to talk him out of bidding on it, he said, "I'm going to be up anyway." So there's that. I am in on Chisholm. I like Chisholm. You guys can see I'm winning Chisholm right now. I am in on Chisholm up to a certain point. It is going to end my time at, gosh, what is that? It's 4 in the morning, my time. So 6 a.m. on the East Coast. I do not love the idea of waking up at 4. I will likely not wake up. I'm just going to place a solid max bid, and I'll deal with the consequences. If somebody wants to overpay, that's good for them. I totally skipped over Luzardo, which, no disrespect, because I think he is fantastic. Luzardo probably, let's see, we just saw Grayson. He's right in that same bucket with Grayson. And Grayson went at 400. Was that right? Yeah, Grayson went at 400. Peralta went at 486. So if you're interested in Luzardo, he's probably going to run in that 400 range. He's going to end my time at 11 o'clock. So I'll be here for Luzardo. If he ends up, I'm definitely a buyer at 300 in case people fall asleep on it. I think Lane Thomas is a nice piece. Yeah, there's a lot. We got a nice dump yesterday. Joe Musgrove, obviously you can see I'm winning on Joe Musgrove. I am not in on Lane Thomas anymore, by the way. So if you see me, don't be afraid to bid that up. And then Saturday, we have some interesting options because we have Joe Ryan, who I think a lot of people are really high on right now. Lars Nootbaar, who typically people are really high on. He just can't stay healthy. I really like Lars. I think he's a solid ball player. He's just got to stay on the field. But he's got 2 fractured ribs. Let's check this out. Oh, look at that. I'm winning on Lars. No recent news for Lars Nootbaar. I mean, he's got 2 fractured ribs, guys. Come on. I don't know if that's a Sorare problem or a RotoWire problem. Clearly, Lars Nootbaar is banged up. So, and he's going to start the season on the IL. I'd really love if they would put something on here that showed the guy was hurt. Like on DraftKings, they'll have like day-to-day or out. And I think something like that would be great just because, I mean, those of you who are watching right now and myself, we're hardcore guys. Like we keep up with this stuff. But a lot of the guys are not. They're casuals, especially the guys who are not in the US. They're casual baseball fans, but they're not baseball fans at all and they just like to play Sorare. And it'd be great if they just at least have a little heads up. I know I was talking to Just Mike it on Twitter stream. I think it was Tuesday, and he said that's fine. They need to be more responsible to do their own research before they bid. And I think that's a hard line to take. I don't agree with it. In the past, Sorare has not auctioned injured players. This year they are, and I'm in the minority. Just about everybody I've spoken with says they are on board with Sorare auctioning injured players. I am in the minority on that. I totally understand. But I think most of the people who don't agree with me are probably hardcore baseball people. And they're like, well, if you don't like it, don't bid. Like we saw Garrett Cole go for almost $500 yesterday, and he might not even throw this year. Somebody outbid me on Jordan Walker. That's fair. I think I actually had a pretty respectable bid on Jordan. Okay, Pompous is going to be closing for the Brewers. So, clearly that is not going to go cheap, even if it's just a part-time closer. Duran is hurt. These guys are nothing burgers. Duran's hurt, but he's going to go in the middle of the night on Saturday. Not in the middle of the night, 9 o'clock. Jonathan India obviously could be a really interesting play. He's going to run late. I could be in on India. I could definitely be in on India. He's going to be at why does it seem like these are quicker? One day 11 hours, one day 12 hours, one day 12 hours. So if he goes at Saturday at 9 o'clock at night, I could be in on India for a couple $100. Obviously, Matt McLean's going. He went down with a shoulder injury. We don't know for how long, but India could go for a couple $100. For a couple $100, I'll take a flyer on India. A couple nothing burgers. Logan Gilbert. There's a couple guys who are pretty high on Logan Gilbert, so we could see some movement there. Obviously, him ending in the middle of the night, literally in the middle of the night, not great. So that's 5 a.m. East Coast time, 2 a.m. West Coast time on Sunday morning. Same thing for Jordan Romano. I like Romano. I know he's a little banged up right now. I don't know if he's gonna. Well, let's see. Okay, here we go. Nursing elbow inflammation. Whoa, he's already getting an injection. Gonna have a shutdown period. A day or two. Okay. Oh, I like this. So it tells you Yimi Garcia and or Chad Green could be next in the pecking order. That's really valuable information. And then we roll into Sunday. Jordan Walker, Jose Altuve, a couple big guys. Jordan Walker should be in that like 300 to 400 range. Altuve normally, Altuve should be like a $600, $700 card. So we'll have to see how that goes out, how that plays out. All right. I think I covered the weekend, right? Really disappointed we don't have a Kyle Schwarber or a Kyle Tucker this weekend. I think that's really an L for the auctioneer. Gossman, I'm in on Gossman. I know he's not going to start opening day, but I'm in on Gossman. Alvarado and Hader will be interesting. These guys are obviously going to end Sunday night, so that'll be interesting. But I mean, for a couple $100, I could be in on Alvarado. It'll be really interesting to watch Hader because he's on that same level with Clase and Diaz, and we saw those guys go pretty high. And the auction time, I think Clase ended at I want to say like 3 a.m. West Coast time, and Diaz ended around 5 a.m. West Coast time, with Hader ending at 3 a.m. West Coast time and 6 a.m. East Coast time on Monday. That could be really interesting. Yo, Kick is in the house. I thought you were busy eating. Hopefully you ate. I know you ate yesterday. You had burgers. Hope that was good. Hope that was satisfying. And we've got Logan Webb on Monday. Leclerc. So we've got another closer. We got 3 out of 4 closers right here. That'll be interesting. Leclerc, I think, is the worst of the 4. Justin Steele. And then these are our new drops, right? So new drops happened. I think Kiermaier was the last of the drops, and Jose should be the first of the new drops. They were pretty thin on these, but still no Schwarber, no Tucker. I feel like there's one other name that I'm missing that should have got dropped in here. Oh, Julio. Julio's not in here. So we're dropping L's, but we still have a L names, not losses, L names, and we still have a J that hasn't dropped. So if they drop Julio, it has to be at a prime time. Like if they're literally holding a few of these guys back, they have to drop them in a prime time. Okay, there's Young, there's Kebron. I did not tag Kebron. I'll probably tag him. Not interested, but I want to tag him. I am interested in Young. I'm a big Young fan. The tricky thing for me is I already have Bregman. So I feel like I like a lot of corner guys, but since I have Bregman, I kind of pigeonhole myself because I don't want to use Bregman as I don't want to sit one of my outfielders because because I've got Judge, Acuna, Julio, and Garcia. So I don't necessarily want to bench one of them to be able to play Bregman. 4 gamers aside, it just, I don't think it's an ideal play for me. So we'll see. And then my boy Luis Robert is dropping. You guys can see I tagged Chris Bryant. I'm not interested, but I tagged him. I tagged Ginkel. I am interested in Ginkel. I already have 1. Wouldn't mind adding a second if the price is right. Mostly because I just want filler. I've been trying to bid on a couple setup guys, but they've been selling for too much. Their setup guys are like the ultimate new car drop off. So I can spend $150 for Ginkel, and no one else is going to spend $150 for Ginkel. Anyway, Lincoln, welcome in, man. Yeah. I do these. Make sure you subscribe. I try to do these on a regular basis. Athers, hey, what's going on, man? Haven't seen you in like a week. Oh, by the way, I wanted to try to do this week. Hunter had a great idea. And so I'm taking that idea and I'm putting a little twist on it. Hopefully he's going to do his idea soon. But I wanted to, for those of you who were in here for trivia night, we did trivia. I seemed like everybody had a great time. It was far too much time commitment on my end to be able to do on a regular basis. But I think we can do something like Guess Who. And that'd be a ton of fun. So I can basically just have guys in here. I think we had 15, maybe 20 for trivia. So we can handle that. And I can just, and I'll just give you info like this player was drafted in the 2nd round in 2021. And he played his college ball at Wake Forest. And he's left-handed. He hits left, throws right. Like little things like that. This is not a real person. But that way I'm just going to throw names out and then you guys would guess who I'm talking about. So I would basically just pull up a bunch of like baseball reference pages and then just start throwing stuff out and we play Guess Who. And I think that is something we could do on a regular basis that wouldn't require a ton of time. So, and get some really fun and exciting community engagement. So I am targeting Wednesday to do something. We're going to do a stream on Wednesday. It's going to be the day before opening day. So I'm targeting that right now. It should be fun, should be exciting, and it'll be a great way to rally the community. So, okay, so I ran through all the super rares. Some nice things to look forward to today. If you're just catching up with us, Nemo, what did he sell at? 1,700, I thought. And let's see, he sold at 1,700. Gunner sold at just over 1,400. Seeger just sold for 48. I overpaid on my Seeger because I got impatient. I was trying to be patient with it. I just wanted to get it over with, so I did. Ryan Presley for 24.11. You know, once Ryan Presley gets around $15, I'm gonna definitely grab one just in case. I mean, I know Hader doesn't like to throw back to backs, and so we'll see how that plays out. So on the rare game, we've got some nice rares coming up here. So in 20 minutes, we've got Goldschmidt. 35 minutes, we've got Devers. Ooh, there we go. Number 1, Bryce Harper, coming up in 2 hours. And the number 1, Luis Castillo, right after. So that's exciting. I'm a little surprised they didn't mint Yamamoto, though. The Kika, I'm glad you brought that point up. The thing is, and I know Eagle's in here, and Eagle backed me on this. You know, the great thing about I don't want to give Rainmakers and DraftKings too much credit because they're not perfect, but they do a lot of things right. And one of those things they do right is transparency and preparedness. They will lay out, here's how everything is going to go down. Here are the special dates. Here are the special contests. And they try to give us as much information as possible. So that way we can make informed and educated decisions based on the money that we're going to shell out. And I really respect that. At the same time, when we look at Sorare and we're looking at these special comps, like for me, I don't know about you guys, but I have barely bought anything this week. And it's not that I'm not in a position where I could, it's that I just don't have any interest because I don't want to buy a bunch of cards I'm going to play. Like, I'm not going to buy new cards to play in classic comps where only 3% of the managers are going to win a tier 3 or better. That just seems like a total waste of money. So for me, it's just, what's the point? I'm going to buy at a premium price right now to basically just hope it works out at classic. I bought my cards and I'm going to play for champion. I think I need one more limited card, unless I'm going to pick up Evan Carter. I need one more limited card, but Carter's kind of on the hype train. I'm not in a huge rush. So I'll probably pick up a guy like Jose Ramirez or Jazz Chisholm, a guy I can play the first 2 weeks and then I can dump him for minimal loss. So I'll probably pick up one of those guys. And I think my rare lineup is set. I picked up Christian Walker to fill in. And for those of you who don't know, I'm running a Ranger stack in limited and rare. It's not, I do not strongly suggest stacks at all. But I'm doing it and we'll just kind of see how it plays out. With that being said, I'm running a Ranger stack. Seager and Lowe were both going to start the season on the IL. So I needed a bat. So I picked up Christian Walker because I like his matchup against the Rockies. And then with super rare is just different because I'm bag holding some T1 super rare. So my super rare team should be decent, should be respectable. So how am I preparing for specialty comps? I'm just not preparing. What I'm doing is I'm just letting the market play out and letting prices drop. And I think most of us that don't work for Sorare are expecting prices to drop pretty hard after a couple weeks. And once that happens, we'll reevaluate. But we don't know what the specialty comps are right now. So are they going to be AL? Are they going to be NL? Are they going to be under 25? Are they going to be, do these guys even know? Are they waiting until prices drop? And then, we saw this in NBA. Prices were tanking, and then they came out and said, oh, no, we're going to do an in-season tournament. You need to buy new cards because no one was buying new cards. So are we going to see that happen when prices start to drop? I'd love to. I really wish that they gave us more transparency so we could make more educated decisions with our cards. And, it kind of goes back to that whole business ops thing I was talking about earlier. So we need to have somebody who can really focus on that and give us as a community more direction and provide transparency so we can make better decisions. So we'll see. Age and country of region will be part of comps. Yeah, the thing is, and Kika, this. I think all of us have been in enough NFT projects to not buy on speculation at this point. Um, they also hinted at the fact that we'd be able to play our cards forever. And we can, but we can't win any money with the old cards, the way that the format was set up. So I'm if you're comfortable buying on hints and conjecture, then cool. Then go do it. I am not, because what happens 9 out of 10 times is I do that and then they can't follow through and I'm pissed. And that's not healthy. That is not a good, healthy culture. So you don't want people getting frustrated. And it doesn't have to be me. It doesn't have to be you. It can be people on a limited level. It can be YNWA. But if you give that transparency, people don't try to read between the lines. And we shouldn't have to read between the lines. Just tell us what's going on. Last year, and I know I bring this example up a lot. And for those of you who don't know, last year, the Sorare team announced that they were going to provide unique rewards in the unique contests. And I believe this was around game week 40 that they were supposed to launch it. And then they just never did. And guys were winning, and the guy and we kept being told by Sorare, like, oh, we'll figure it out. It's coming. We're just having trouble programming it. And it never came. And now, granted, I never won a unique competition during those weeks, but you just have to be able to follow through on those things. Like, you can't literally put out an announcement to say you're going to do that and have people buy and then not do it. It's just the optics on that are terrible. So, when you do stuff like that, it kind of, it just makes people think like, screw me once, shame on me type thing. And you don't want that in your community. You really don't. So I am not going to buy on speculation. I'm glad that they hinted. Obviously, they have the countries here. That stuff's great. I think there's so many fun things they could do, like a stolen base competition or a home run competition, a strikeout competition, save competition. I think there's so many cool things they could do like that. I think Bob has talked about, Orange Fly has talked about how these things shouldn't be that hard to program. I know that they went through and with the coding, and they basically tried to recode everything the same way that they've coded things in soccer. So that way it should be easier to add these. None of us know. I think we're all kind of speculating on whether or not they will be easier. We need them to be able to introduce these things though. So right now I'm basically just buying for champion. And once I get my champion team, I'm just set it and forget it. We're going to see a lot of people win prizes in the first couple game weeks, and they're going to dump them, and we'll be able to take advantage of that. So there's no reason to buy any, for me at least, there's no reason for me to buy anything right now at a premium price when people are going to end up winning those cards in a week and they're going to dump them on the market. Oh, DJ's in here. What's up, DJ? Lincoln? I think the champion level games will be an in-season filter soon. Is there not a filter? I thought, well, I guess we can look at it right now. So here's the thing, guys. I know you've heard me say this. Oh, looks like I have my lineup in here. I know you guys have heard me say this before. I really admire the fact that Sorare MLB wants to be the best. They want to be the best fantasy game out there. And I really admire that. And I am 100% on board. I want them to be as well. And what comes with that is that they need to make sure they're monitoring things. They need to be on top of issues. They need to make adjustments. So, when we tell them these things, like having, like Lincoln, as you're bringing up, an in-season filter. Yeah, they need to add that. I mean, that's not a big thing. I had to exchange 15 emails so I could stop getting soccer notifications on my phone. And I was really annoying with them because I was getting really annoyed and I didn't want to shut the app off. And I'm like, guys, I don't play Rivals. I don't play soccer. Like I don't know why I keep getting these things. And because they just had it defaulted so everyone could get Rivals push notifications. And I'm like, that's a really easy way to end up getting like in Apple jail. So so we went back and forth and finally they fixed it. And I was like, okay, hallelujah. But we want them to be the best. Help them. Help me help you, right? So help me help you. Lincoln, this is a great point. We need that filter. So it's going to make it a lot easier to understand. And the reality of it is, you got to keep in mind, these guys really don't play the game. I know some of them have a few cards, but they really don't play the game like we do. So when we're talking to them about like user interface stuff, they need that feedback. They really, really need that feedback. One thing that bothers me, and I've harped on John for over a year, is that I used to be able to have a bookmark and I could run on that bookmark and it would have all the players I was interested in. So like I could just hit my bookmark and the only guys who would come up in auctions or in manager sales were guys that I was interested in because I had done a player search. But now, like, I don't know if they fixed this. Now you can't even player search in here. And their whole thing is like, well, you can type the name in. Okay, cool. I can type the name in, right? So I got Tatis. Now what? Now I want to compare Tatis prices to Machado prices. Is there a way I can do this? I need to know because I haven't been able to figure it out, and no one at Sorare has been able to tell me. But I want to be able to grab like 6 guys and compare their pricing. Added as save search. I can't. So check this out. I've got all my starting pitchers queued up, right? These are not my starting pitchers. So my added save search, which by the way sucks that I had to go ahead and do that. I couldn't use my bookmark anymore because I had to use their bookmark, and now it doesn't even work. But if I go to auctions, now it works. So it'll only work in auctions. It won't work in manager sales, which defeats the purpose for me because what I'm doing is I'm fishing for my shuttle bus of pitchers that I'm going to play. And most of the time, my plan is the season is to be able to use previous season starting pitchers. So I have to go in here every single time and type in all 30 of these guys one by one by one by one. But here's the challenge. These guys don't play the game like we do. They don't understand that there's a problem. So yeah, I don't know, DJ. It doesn't make sense, but you got to keep in mind, most of these guys, whether it's the guy, the face guys, face forward guys that we see, like Everett, Damian, and John, and all the coders, which, you know, most of those jobs, if not all those jobs, are now in Paris. They don't play the game like we do. They don't understand why we would want to search this way. So the only way, and I've been asking him to fix this for over a year, and it's still not fixed. They're like, here, but you got this. I'm like, cool. So we're making progress. I applaud that. You know, as I've said before, I'm sure you guys have heard, I never want to criticize progress. But at the end of the day, like you want to be the best. We got to get there. We got to get there. And these are features that I'm sure I'm not the only person who uses. And I will say this, I will die on this hill. You need to make it easy for me to give you my money. You do. And Sorare, for some reason, is just not great at that sometimes. Like I probably would have spent $5,000 to $10,000 on 2024 cards by now if they weren't rolling out so slow. But I've gotten auction fatigue and I'm bored watching the auctions. So instead, I'm drafting like 5 best ball teams a day. So you have to make it easy for me to give you my money. You really do. Okay. So point being, guys, if you see something, say something. We need to let them know. Sometimes they don't even know these things are going on. We need to let them know what's happening on the user side, so that way they can improve it. It's kind of like one thing I always say is, I don't know what I don't know. So if these guys aren't using stuff like that on a regular basis, they have no idea it's broken or why someone would even use it. So if they don't know what they don't know, we need to help them understand those things. That is our responsibility as a user base and as a community, to help them improve, but also to push them to improve. So one thing that I am really, and I'm going to message John again today. I've messaged him twice this week. There's something that we did in basketball a couple of years ago, and I don't know why they haven't set it up for me, but I'm really hoping. I'm trying to get to it so I can show you guys. It's not going to be here. Dang it. Let's do it this way. This has got to go. But also, let me show you what it should look like. Ooh, I don't know if I'll be able to. Let me put together a lineup real quick, I guess. Oh, yeah, right here. This is what it should look like. You see this? Where's my aced out group? I have asked for over a year for an aced out group. The guys from Sorare will literally come to me and be like, hey, Steve, can you promote this? Can you push this out? I said, sure. Give me my group. We had a group for basketball. It was great. It works great with the Discord. I can give people props all the time. Like, it's a ton of fun. People really enjoy it. Why won't you give it to me on baseball? And instead, I got stuck with that Morosi thing, which I can't figure out how to leave. But once we get this group set up, I told them last year, I was like, look, give me my MLB group. I'm going to give away shirts. I'm going to give away hats. I'm going to give away cards. Like, it'll be so fun and engaging. And they wouldn't set it up for some reason, but they set up a bunch of other rando affiliates, which is just insulting, because I was one of the top MLB affiliates the first year. And I'm like, okay, is this the what have you done for me lately kind of attitude? Like, I need you guys to fix this. It's not a big ask. You literally just, okay, I'm not a coder, but I'm assuming all you need to do is copy and paste something. I'm assuming that's, or just, take the Morosi code and copy that and put it in and put ace out. Like, it can't be that hard, right? So you don't need to do the whole create a league. Just add one for me, and I'll get 100 people in there that are in my Discord and on my Twitter, and we can compete against each other every week. And it's a ton of fun. And we can see how everybody did without having to look and see, click every competition and back and click. That's such a pain. I want to be able to see how Zuby did and Kika did and Eagle did and DJ and Heimer and Taylor. Like, I want to be able to see all my guys and see how they did easily. And obviously see how I did against them. And I'm sure they're going to be curious about how my team did. And that's the easiest way to do it. So anyway, now I feel like I'm complaining. All right. Sorry. That was my TED talk, I guess. Yeah, DJ, you're in too many groups. I don't know how to leave them. I think that's part of the problem, right? Let me see if I can leave that Morosi group again. I tried to before and it just was not happening. Get out. No, I can't. Man, this is. No, I can't even get out of it. I thought you had the option to leave before. So I don't know. I understand that they have other things that they're working on, but for a community who's terrible at community engagement, this is something that you should have. And it shouldn't just be like, okay, we think this guy can make us money. Let's make one for him. That's just asinine. So I don't know if I'll be able to give away the same stuff I gave away last year, but hey, but I've got some Otani caps. I've definitely got some shirts. I've got some aced out caps. I think it's fun. Plus, I like doing the recognition newsletter. I think that's a ton of fun for everybody. So help me help you. That's the theme for today, right? Okay. San Diego State game is going to start in like 10 minutes. So I think we should wrap this up. Is there anything? Oh, that's not where I wanted. Oh, here we go. I don't think there's anything pressing here. We got Goldie, 2 minutes to go. We got a little bidding war on Goldie. Yeah, thanks, Lincoln. I was talking about making game weeks a week long. I think most people, including myself, prefer the semi-weekly. I was trying to work in the parameters of last year, where they basically just had a $300,000 pot, and with the amount of rewards that they gave out and being able to control mint counts a little bit better, I was trying to work in those parameters. I know that I laid that out on Hunter's podcast, but the reality of it is, in hindsight, if I knew that Nick Lewis was going to be willing to make this gameplay change and throw in $1 million instead of 300,000, I could have really done some fun stuff with that, as opposed to trying to be able to make it work with handcuffs, which is what I was trying to do. It's great that they put $1 million in. I know that many of the whales have said that $1 million is like a drop in the bucket for a season. They give away $1 million a week on the soccer side. And it's not necessarily fair to compare, but at the same time, it's the chicken or the egg, right? Like, are you going to get a bunch of players if you're not giving away a lot of money versus giving away a lot of money and bring them in? Like, I think Eagle will back me up on this. And he normally says this is, Deegans are going to Deegan. And that's the truth. So if you put a big carrot in front and you say you're going to win $5,000 a week, a unique, and $2,500 for second and $1,000 for third, you're going to sell Juan Soto for $25,000. If you're going to say winner take all, $2,200, you're going to sell Juan Soto for $5,000. Like, that's the way it works. But you need whales to manage whales. We don't have any whales that are running the ship for the U.S. team or the MLB team. So you're going to end up with what we're getting, which is slow mints, premium prices on common cards, which realistically is a terrible idea. I know that some of you have limited cards, not common cards. I know that some of you have a big bag of limiteds, and that's probably a little cringe for you, but it's important just understand from a business standpoint. I think we can all agree that Sorare is terrible at onboarding users into the ecosystem. I'm not saying they're terrible at getting free to play users, but that conversion, like limited all-star, which should be the entry point for all users, had zero growth last year. Zero growth. I don't know what they spent on ads, but they had zero growth last year, which means there's a conversion issue. Limited is your onboarding platform for users to get into the ecosystem. If you are suppressing mint counts to keep prices high on limiteds, you are really handcuffing your ability to onboard people. And what we all know is that these prices are artificially inflated right now because of the fact that they're holding back the mints, and we all need 5 limiteds to be able to play in Champion. So I don't think it's good form to say, hey, you need 5, but we're also going to nerf auctions, because all you're doing is artificially inflating the pricing. So if you're going to tell people they need 5, then give them an opportunity to be able to buy those 5 at a reasonable entry point. And we're not there yet. We will be there in a couple weeks, but at that point, prices are going to drop probably 25 to 40%. And Sorare is going to be holding over 90% of the inventory, thinking we didn't handle this right. And they have an appreciating asset that they're holding the majority of the inventory of. And you're going to have a third of the players playing in Champion that played in Pro week 1 last year. That's a terrible look. And you had trouble onboarding because the entry point was too high. And when they were thinking about getting in because they're playing common and they're not winning anything playing common because there's 25,000 people playing common and they give away like 200 limited cards. So you're not having any success. You decide, hey, I'm interested in paying a little bit to get in. But then you look at those entry prices and you're like, wow, this is terrible. And then the season starts and you see on Twitter and on Discord that people are crying because now they didn't realize that A, it's really hard to win in the classic contest, and B, prices are starting to tank because your depreciation is starting to happen. As soon as game week 1 happens, you drove the car off the lot. The guys that's so rare have not wrapped their heads around that. So what's happening is they're going to be holding 90% of that inventory, hoping it works out and artificially inflating the pricing. It's going to cave on them and the prices are going to come down and they're going to be holding a bunch of the inventory going, okay, special comps. And that's where special comps will come in. That's when buy it now on rares will come in. That's when we'll start seeing those kind of things. So I do understand they have some things in place, but keep in mind, a big reason why they've been nerfing auctions is because of what happened with NBA. So it's apples and oranges. NBA was completely overminted the first 2 years at every level, or the first year at every level. MLB was not. MLB was overminted and super rare only last year. So it's completely apples and oranges. And you change the game. You completely change the game by making in-season cards required to win money. So it's just apples and oranges. And you need to give people an opportunity. I think I said before, they need to mint at least 8,000 tier 3 and aboves to be able to have 2,000 viable players in limited. They're not going to end up anywhere near that. So we're going to have, if you want to win money and you have a viable team, you'll definitely win money the first couple weeks. There shouldn't be any doubt. And that's great. Hopefully we're all going to be racing to hit that break-even point. I'll be, as usual, I'll be very transparent about how mine goes, my journey. But for the most part, once rewards start coming in and they're going to start dumping on these auctions, the team's just not ready for that. Keep in mind, the team thinks that NBA pricing tanked because they were rolling out auctions too aggressively. They don't think that they tanked because they nerfed rewards and people weren't winning anything, which is the reason why they tanked. And, it's a different game. Like, you always have to buy stuff to be able to chase an L10. So you're buying a bunch of guys you don't even like. You have to spend so much more time on research. You have to be ready last minute for injuries. It's a nightmare. I do not like the NBA game at all. And no disrespect, if you play the NBA game and you like it, that's great. It's not for me. I love the MLB game. I do think it could be improved, but we're just going to have to see how this goes down. But I do expect it to play out like that. Where are we at? Okay, Kika's disagreeing with me. That's fine. Kika, here's the thing. Okay, so outside of the number ones, if you buy a card right now on auction, for all intents and purposes, we understand the pace right now. So if you buy a card at auction, you buy it because you're the highest bidder. So when the next card comes, typically it drops because you're not the highest bidder anymore. Not all the time. And initially we didn't see how slowly they were going to mint. I thought that they were going to mint between like 5 and 6. I know a bunch of guys in the Discord were like, oh, it should be like closer to like 8 to 10. Now we can see it's going to be closer to 5 to 6. And because of that, people are FOMOing into it. So we've seen prices jump up a little bit. So we've seen like a little bounce. That's not sustainable. And here's the reason why. There's 2 reasons. One is, as soon as the game week starts, you've driven the car off the lot. So you are losing utility. And we saw this on the Rainmaker side. Every week, these cards that we're buying right now, the in-season cards, the value of these in-season cards is based on one thing. The majority of the value is based on one thing, and that is in-season utility, with the exception of a handful of T1 guys. The majority of the value is in-season utility. So knowing that every single week that goes by means that that card is worth a little bit less. So you're going to combine the fact that it's an auction. So the last person, like we joke around in the Discord that today's deal is tomorrow's overpay. It's because of the way the auctions are set up. Look, it's meant to be depreciating. At the same time, you're having a regression because you're losing utility. So you have those two factors come into play already. Now, keep in mind, they're going to be throwing rewards in. And most people who win classic rewards are going to be dumping rewards to get cash. Because how many times do you win a reward and you're like, that's exactly the guy I wanted? Never. I mean, sure, every once in a while you flip a reward and you're like, that's exactly the guy I wanted for this week. Most of the time it doesn't happen. Most of the time you get a guy and you're like, all right, cool. Like I could use him, or oof, not great. And you're dumping it because you want that cash to go buy the card you do want. So you already had those two factors in play. Now you have a chunk of managers who are going to win rewards in game week 1 that are going to want to cash on them, especially whales. So you're going to have this influx of rewards that get hit into the market. So is that going to affect everybody? No, it's not going to affect everybody because you do have some guys who are strictly credit card only. So they're only buying on auctions. I know they can do that deposit now where you can like deposit $1,000 off your credit card and you can buy them in the secondary, which is great. But you're still going to have guys who just buy on the auction block, and you're going to have coupons. So the coupons, as Eagle mentioned in the Discord, are going to inflate auction prices by about 25%, or I think like 15% based on the coupon. But you're going to have too many factors coming into play to be able to hold value. Keep in mind, this is not a value-based game anymore. This is a win now based game. That's how Rainmakers, that's how Rainmakers is. This is how Sorare is now. It is a win your money now based game. And then at the end of the season, you either have cards that are playable in the playoffs that still have value that you can dump, or you have cards you're bag holding, and now those cards graduate to classic contests. So keep that in mind. Every single week, your card is going to be worth a little bit less. So even if you scout well, and for you, Kick, I'm talking to you. I know you bought that Jake Berger. If Berger does what you think he can do, then sure, we could see the second and the third go up in value. Sure, you might be able to flip that. Most people are buying on perceived value right now, based on how they Gunner goes for 1,400 on perceived value. That's okay. What's going to happen here in a couple weeks is we're going to have real value, and everything is going to be very knee jerk. And that's okay. That's how the market works. And that's how guys like K-Lamp are so great at being able to take advantage of the market. So, he understands baseball, so he can buy a guy like you bought Jake and project him out. And if he does well, then he can flip it. And if he doesn't, then he eats it. So that's the way it works. But that's what they're going to run into from just a basic economy standpoint. The challenge is for a company that just sent the majority of their jobs from the US over to Paris, you hate to see them just lose money hand over fist because they're not managing. They're not managing the auctions properly. Don't get me wrong. You're always going to have somebody complain. You're either not minting enough or you're minting too much. There has to be a sweet spot. I think they're hoping that like the buy it now was the sweet spot, but based on the DraftKings model, they're just not doing it right. They'll figure it out. They're going to lose enough money, or I should say they're going to not make enough money that they'll figure it out by the end of April. They're going to say, oh my gosh, we had an opportunity to make a bunch of money. We didn't. Now we have a depreciating asset. They're just not there yet. So they'll get there, and it doesn't matter how much we tell them. They'll get there. But that's the way it's going to play out. Because remember, every single game week, guys are going to win cards they're going to dump, and they're going to dump them under market. So all it's going to do is drive it down. You lose utility. You have more product available in the market. That's the way it's going to work. And Kika, this. We've been in enough of these projects. We've seen the game. We've seen the game plan. That's how it works. Lincoln, what happens to cards that don't sell? Great question. I think there's been a lot of speculation. I knew that some people were talking about, well, maybe they're going into loot boxes. We've seen a decent amount of super rares that just didn't sell. I don't think it's the end of the world if a card doesn't sell, to be honest with you. I think it's more of a matter of, people are collecting. They want to build up collection score. Like, that's my approach with limiteds and rares is, I think there is a lane for me to be able to build a Texas stack, get it up to 5% on the rares, and I basically doubled my boost. And then you start throwing in some XP, and all of a sudden, by the end of April, my guys will be at like 12%. And that should help me out. So I think there's a lane there, but it's not a big deal if a card doesn't sell. I do think from a super rare standpoint, that's a problem. They should be starting super rare auctions at like $25. They dropped unique auctions down to $225, but they haven't dropped super rare auctions. So it just seems like it's somebody's just asleep at the wheel. But I think if you see that, you'll have less super rares that don't sell, because for $25, I'll buy a random Astro to build up my Bregman and my McCormick. So, and hopefully my Tucker at some point. But I'm not going to spend 60. Like that's ridiculous. So it's just too many guys you have to buy. What is that? If I want to get my goal on super rares is really just 3%. I don't think collection score has that much of an impact, but on super rares, like it does on limiteds and rares. But it's not a big deal if a card doesn't sell. It is a big deal if you have like 6 hours of nothing burger auctions when you have the most motivation you can possibly get. That's a problem. And that, like I said, that's a business ops problem. You just don't understand your market. So we'll see, but we don't know. They go to a magical land of misfit toys, I guess. But hopefully they just show up in the loot boxes. I think people would be pretty hyped to just get some random number one SR that they can flip for $30. Put them up for auction later time. Just wondering if that was or if they should. I mean, why not? I don't see a problem with that. Card doesn't sell, just flip it back around. Number 7, we're going to get to a point where we're going to have a lot of cards that don't sell, right? We don't have that many users. We're not getting an influx of users. And everybody who wants a De Los Santos for the Padres already has one. So if you mint number 83 and it doesn't sell, then don't mint 84. Just recycle 83. If you're not going to throw it in a loot box, just throw it back out. There's not a problem with that. Just keep recycling it. It's kind of like relisting, whether you're relisting on, I'm thinking about eBay for some reason, but you're just sparking your auction over again. So no big deal. And keep in mind, most of the cards really only have collection score value. That's really all they have. Most of the cards. And the challenge is, with the way that the rewards are set up in Classic now, there's a lot of cards that do not have value that had value before. And I don't think a lot of people understand that yet. They're going to understand it after a couple of weeks of not winning anything or just winning coupons. They're going to understand that real quick. But right now, they may not have figured out how hard it is to win. The fact that you need to be in the top 5% of that group to win any reward, any card reward, and the top 3% to win a T3 or better is not easy. I know that a lot of the guys in my Discord are really on top of things and they're going to be okay, but there's still going to be weeks. There were weeks last year. I think there was one week I didn't win a damn thing. And I was just sitting there shaking my head. I didn't win anything. Now, granted, most of my bag is focused on super rare pro, super rare all-star. I was playing unique all-star at the time. I'm playing rare pro. And then basically it's just bench, just a bunch of scrub collection score guys that I was waiting it was going to happen. And I had like a Padres collection that I played limited on. So cards I really shouldn't have won, like 6 or 7 of the competitions I entered every week, I really had no I didn't have a shot to win, and I shouldn't have won. I didn't deserve to win. But there was one week I won nothing. And you could win about 15 to 20% of the time last year. Granted, super rare competitions were the hardest ones to win. I think you had to only 11% of entrants in super rare all-star won a reward last year, and only 9% in super rare pro. So they are the hardest competitions to win a reward in, but still, we play to win rewards. And I mean, some of us play to win cash, but if you're not winning rewards, then what's the point? Then is it still fun? It's not. It's not fun at all. And we've got that disconnect right now. The team's gonna figure that out. The nice thing is, I will say this. The nice thing is there's wiggle room. The guys can fix this, or Nicholas can still hire someone to go in and make changes to fix the rewards. Like, they can be fixed. I know what they're saying is we don't want to add too many because you can't take them away. Frankly, that's bullshit, because we see them take away rewards during postseason and not blink an eye, even though that's when you should be ramping up rewards and rewarding your most loyal people who have dug in and are still spending at this point and didn't dump. But you can absolutely, they did it last year when they introduced, they went full rarity for AL and NL rare, and they cut rewards. And it took about 10 weeks, but entries got back to where they were before they went full rarity, and they never added them again. So yeah, I'm going to call bullshit on that. I don't normally swear on the stream, but I feel like that's appropriate. There is definitely wiggle room right now. So I don't know if that's a lever they're going to try to pull. I know Everett tries to say, you guys think we have a bunch of levers. You 100% have a bunch of levers. The reality of it is they're only giving away one super rare T1. That's only 15% of the total inventory, and you can't even win it in super rare. You win it in unique. There's no reason why they shouldn't add a T1 in super rare pro, and they're still only rewarding 30% of the unique prize pool, or 30% of the super rare prize pool, which is still short of the 40%. They're only rewarding 30% of the tier 2 prize pool in super rare. So there's still plenty of wiggle room here. And on the limited and the rare side, they really have a lot of wiggle room. Now, granted, if they're going to mint at this pace, then we could argue they don't have wiggle room, because the rewards will out mint the actual auctions. But we will have to see how that plays out. I think at a certain point, a few things need to happen here. One, they bring in somebody who can provide some business ops, can really improve efficiency and help the company be more profitable. Two, they fire the next round of guys. And I don't mean that with any disrespect to Everett and Damian. I don't want to see people get fired. I do. This is the real world, though. You're either good at your job or you find another job. But we've seen them go through Spooner and David and Kate, and now it's Everett and Damian. And they just keep like next man up philosophy. It's obvious that this hasn't been working, and you just keep promoting people who are already there, who are part of the problem. So you're going to see that. So one of those two things, or three, they just punt it. They just punt MLB, and either they need to keep running things and they pull all the money, and they say, okay, here's what we need to be able to, we lost money on MLB last year. We're only going to provide this amount for rewards, and we're just going to let it die off, but we have to do something because our contract, the MLBPA won't let us out of our contract, kind of thing, or they just let it die. So we'll see what happens. I think this year is a pivotal year for them. They're making big changes with the new gameplay, and I hope it works out. I think that they're definitely doing some things right, and they're recognizing. I also think that at the end of the day, you need a whale to manage whales, and the whales in Sorare MLB have supported the project. And if they're not buying a lot this year, then you're going to need a hell of a lot of new users to be able to offset that spend. So just keep that in mind. So we're going to keep an eye on how new users look in terms of introduction to the ecosystem. So anyway, Last question, Lincoln, and I'm going to wrap this up so I can watch the game and see if my pup is awake yet. Thank you, Kika. I appreciate it. So for the Soul Collection Challenge, do you think you get an entry for each collection completed? I would assume so. So if you had let's say you had a Padre collection for the limited in 2002, 3, and 4, you should get 3 chances. That makes sense. It's a great question. One thing I always try to talk to John about is when you guys do the releases, you should include a frequently asked question section where you can go in and add them later, because a lot of people ask questions that you guys typically think about. And I know that they have like a focus group that they talk with, but clearly the focus group either has their own interests in mind or doesn't ask the right questions or is just a bunch of yes men. But they have a focus group they're supposed to bounce these things off of. I am not part of it. I was asked to be part of it, and I didn't want to sign the NDA, and I like to give my own opinion. And I feel like I'm also very honest, and I don't want to have information that I can't share with you guys. So for me, that was a no. It was a no. But I know that they do have those things. At the end of the day, though, they should have a frequently asked question section. So that way, that's a great question. It's totally legitimate. You're like, hey, I've got 5 collections. Do I get 5 chances, or do I just like get a peg for my name? We'll see. I do think that a lot of us already have MLB.TV subscriptions. So, I mean, if I win, actually, you know what? I'm not eligible to win. So I don't have any, it's not the Rangers. So I don't actually, I sold 640 cards. So I no longer have my Padres collection. So I'm not eligible to win. If I did, I would just pass it on to somebody. And I think you're going to have a lot of managers who do giveaways like that, whether it's giving them to Alex over at Sorare FP, or they're doing them on Twitter. That's probably how I would have done mine, like give it away in a stream kind of thing. But they're going to give away MLB.TV subscriptions like candy all year. I don't think it costs them much, if anything. So, which is what it should be if you're working on the partner end. So I wouldn't sweat it too much. You're probably going to have a lot of opportunities to win them, probably on a weekly basis. So just keep that in mind. They said 1 entry on Discord. Thanks, Kika. 1 entry. I don't know if that's for tracking purposes, but this is just me. But it would seem like if you wanted people to buy things, that you would give them more incentive to buy things, right? Anyway, just me. But obviously, my brain works a little different than theirs. Theirs might be focused on like, let's do the least amount of work possible to get this done. Mine is more like, how can we do this to motivate our users to incentivize them in order for them to purchase more cards? And I don't think that's a bad thing. But yeah, it's just different schools of thought, right? Okay, what did we see here? Hey, Eagle, I don't know if you're still watching, but congratulations on that Rafael Devers. Nice grab. Volpe for $17. That seems pretty reasonable. Tatis for $87. That's nice. We've got Kelnick coming up here in 7 minutes. So anyway, guys, I'm going to wrap this up. I really do appreciate you hanging out. We talked a lot. I cannot wait. Next week is going to be so exciting. We'll do that contest. We'll play Guess Who on Wednesday. So plan on that right now. Day before, on opening day eve, I'll probably do another stream some before then. I don't know if it's going to be a unique stream or whatnot. If things start to get real exciting, we might even do a Harper stream later today. But most of these streams are supposed to be like 10 to 15 minutes. And I think we're at an hour and a half right now. But I really appreciate your guys' questions and your feedback and your opinions. And I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of the day. If you're watching any cards, good luck. Good luck bidding. And go Aztecs. SDSU Aztecs fight.